Alright guys, you might be wondering what happened to your favorite brands. We have a list of companies that some still exist, some have merged, and some are just totally out of business now. So Joel's going to go ahead and name out some companies that you might remember, and I'm going to tell you if their gear is still being made or not.
Okay, Draxus.
Draxus is now part of GI. They are making paint still, but under the GI and Empire name.
What about Diablo, RPS, PMI, 32 Degrees, Odyssey, and Vents?
Those are all still making paint under the GI name as well. Over the years, they pretty much absorbed a lot of these companies.
Yeah.
Around the 2008 timeframe, when a lot of the economy collapse happened, a lot of these brands would merge, and they're now under the GI umbrella. So that's
View Loader, Extreme Rage, Piranha. It looks like
V-Force.
V-Force, Pure Energy, Brass Eagle, all these brands. For the most part, some of these brands also dissolved. So like PMI and Piranha and stuff like that, like you'd have to almost call Core. Oh, and that's the other thing that's talking about Core. But needless to say, you'd have to call Core to see if you can even get some of the stuff. But some of these companies, merged under Key, and then Key merged to GI and everything else like that. And eventually, once their products kind of went out of existence, they also kind of like the name went out of existence. So a lot of these companies aren't even around anymore, but if you're looking for old parts and stuff, they're all under the GI umbrella. Basically, what happened with GI is they did claim bankruptcy last year at some point, kind of like late summer, I want to say, and they restructured as Core Outdoors. So still slightly different ownership is the way that I understand it, but they're still making the vast majority of the remaining brands. Remaining brands being Titman, Empire, JT, V-Force. And basically all those brands are still a thing. So, all right, you ready?
Go ahead.
Dye paintball.
Dye is still the Nike of paintball. They still make paintball guns, masks, a lot of soft goods. Mm-hmm. They also make the dye, the rotor loader system, which is what we talked about earlier, with it being very durable. So you can still get high quality dye products from Punisher's Paintball. HK, like I touched on briefly before, they expanded. They used to just make headbands and t-shirts, but now they also, they make everything from head to toe. They even make cleats. So you might see a lot of HK Army gear available in the store, and that's a good thing. HK has really expanded and made it more accessible for the newer players.
I think what's cool about HK is the fact that they kind of mass marketed style, which is interesting. Like they've got like I don't know how many different headband designs we have in the store, but it's a lot. And head wraps and everything else like that. As far as pants go, they're one of the only companies out there that offer like a million different colors of the same pant, which is really cool. So you can pretty much color match everything you want. And then like dry fits and jerseys and all that stuff. And their casual gear is actually really nice.
Really comfortable.
Yeah, and I wear it quite frequently. Like their casual gear is actually like good quality. I know that a lot of people talk about like their paintball quality of things being not like the highest end with some things. Other things, I think that their quality is good. But overall, HK, like their casual gear is very nice.
Yeah, reliable brand for sure.
Yeah. Planet Eclipse.
Planet Eclipse is making a lot of guns still. They still are just as relevant. The Ego, you might have heard it as the Ego. They're now under the LV category. So the LV 1.6 is basically the newest version of the Ego line.
Yep.
And the depending on when you stopped playing, they made a spool valve gun called the Geo. The Geo 4 is the most modern version of that. They also have the Planet Eclipse 170R and the M170, which is a very similar. It's a spool valve gun that gets really great air efficiency and can really be used in a variety of playing conditions.
And to Matt's point, the biggest thing is that there's two different bolt systems when you're talking about the spool valve. You've got the IB core, which is in the Geo4, and then the CS2 Pro, the CS2, and then the entire G-Tech line of guns from the G-Tech all the way to the G-Tech 170R offer the Gamma core, which is, it's just a different like shot signature, but for the most part the same thing. And yeah, the other thing too is like Planet is doing so much more with soft goods.
Right.
Like, Planet didn't really do anything in soft goods. Like, when they came around in 2005 and introduced the Ego, that was basically it, and like they were doing private label guns before that and everything else like that. But now they have a wide variety of different markers, and they've also expanded their marker selection. Instead of just offering that high-end Ego platform, they now offer the EMEC and, to your point, the mechanical 170R and all that stuff, which is definitely nice. All right, Bob Long / Field One Force.
So Bob Long, he no longer currently makes paintball guns, but San Diego Dynasty purchased the rights to Bob Long, and they took over that mantle. And this is, their first release, the Force. This is handmade by Dynasty. Alex Frazier, Ryan Greenspan, and Yosh Rao actually make these. So if you buy one, they're most likely assembled by one of those players. And we have them in stock at Punishers. So really nice, and just a cool story with this gun, how it was made by the best team of all time.
I like the fact that it's assembled in the United States.
Right.
It's, to my knowledge, the only gun that's actually assembled. No, I take that back. Shocker and DLX go through quality control in the States. But other guns out there, for the most part, are assembled elsewhere. And Field One is probably the most, like, American gun because, like, to your point, the guys are in the warehouse every day. Like, if I need something, I call Yosh, which is pretty cool, to talk to some of the idols growing up,
Right.
actually get them on the phone, talk to them. So, all right, Virtue Paintball.
They used to just make a lot of boards, like aftermarket boards for paintball guns, but now they've definitely expanded quite a bit as well. They make soft goods such as pants and elbow and knee pads. They also make pod packs, which are really comfortable, and the Virtue Spire, which is my personal loader that I use on a regular basis, the Spire 4, which we illustrated earlier in this video.
Yep.
So Virtue, their reputation when they first came around 2004, 2005 was that really annoying Ion Virtue, let's do a video. I'm sure if you've played, you've probably seen that video.
Anybody before 2010 knows that video.
Yeah, that was basically the viral video of paintball back in the day being
like
shared on MySpace. Yeah. So it's nice to see they grew up, so to speak. They make more than just one item. They make quite a bit of really high quality stuff that you can get at a great price.
Yes, 100%. Everything Virtue is good. Shocker / Lux.
So during Smart Parts, they sponsored a lot of teams like the All-Americans and Dynasty at one point. They are now known as Shocker and Lux. A lot of the same people.
Or DLX Technologies.
Yeah, DLX Technologies. Actually, it's a lot of the same people. Still an American company.
Same ownership.
Great equipment that you can buy from them.
Yeah, so Shocker Amp and the Lux DM40 come from the same factory as well as the GOG Enemy. So the GOG is also their low-end brand, all under that umbrella of what used to be known as Smart Parts.
Lots of the top teams are still using their products. Teams like Houston Heat, AC Dallas, AC Diesel, Seattle Thunder. These teams are using those products, so you can really rely on it when some of the top players in the world are using that on a regular basis.
If anybody cares, I'm using the Lux DM40. So as of today, literally, that red one.
We just got it today.
Yep. All right. MacDev Paintball.
MacDev still makes guns. They actually just released a new gun recently called the XDR, and they're not as prevalent in the United States. They're a lot more popular in Europe, but in the U.S. they are still making guns. You might have known them from the Cyborg or the Droid. Those were their main guns about 10, 15 years ago. But they now make the Prime, which is that was my personal shooter for about 2 years. I really enjoy the MacDev Prime, and I'm really looking forward to the XDR when they become more popular.
I'm not going to let you get through this entire video without mentioning that you played pro for Seattle Uprising.
I did, and I shot a MacDev Prime.
It's our claim to fame here, guys, in Ohio. All right. All right. WDP / Angel.
Yeah, so Angel no longer exists anymore. Unfortunately, they had some legal issues as well as, with the whole economic crisis. They ended up falling by the wayside in the late 2000s. So once in a while you will find an old Angel up for sale, but it's just more of a collector's item at this point. You won't really see any modern pros using the Angels. They're still respected, but it's just with the company not being able to service that equipment anymore, you won't see Angel be mentioned very much anymore.
Something I'd like to mention is if anybody has an issue with an Angel, we have a contact here at Punishers that actually goes through old Angel guns. It's located locally within an hour of our store. So if you guys need something, you can contact us, and we can put you in contact with our contact, Big Bob, and he'll take care of you. So if you have an old Angel and you want to try and get it up and running again, that's where we send off our contracted work there. AKA/Viking, if that's what you're talking about, and Alien.
Yep. So those two companies, again, they no longer make paintball equipment. There are some guys out there that can actually machine parts for them, but again, that's going to come at a premium price, and you're going to have to jump through some hoops if you have a gun like that to try to get them maintained and serviced, just because the actual brand is not active anymore. But unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. A lot of really good paintball gear is still being made. Some of the brands have gone away, so if you don't hear about them, that's why. But Dye, HK, Empire, Planet Eclipse, those are all still very relevant. Lux, lots of good options out there for you.
100%. Well, Matt, I think that is a ton of good information for anybody that is been out of the sport for a long time. I've got one more question for you though.
What is it?
Your favorite paintball gun of all time?
My favorite gun?
This is completely unprompted, guys.
I'm going to give 3 answers because I think there's 3 categories of paintball gun. If you want to talk about pump paintball, it would be my favorite gun. Honestly, my favorite gun that I've ever owned personally was my. It's the same gun. There's the ACI Hornet and the PMI Tagmaster. It was the same gun. It was a back bottle setup, so the whole gun, for some of you old school guys, it was basically just a giant barrel with a trigger. That's what it looked like. It was a Nelson valve. There's 2 screws on the bottom that you just tighten with your thumb. That's how you take it apart. That was my favorite gun. I got it used when I was, I want to say 15 years old. So that would be my favorite pump gun, was my PMI Tagmaster, also known as the ACI Hornet. If I had to use my favorite mechanical gun of all time, it would easily be the EMEC. That's, to me, it's not even a debate. I've shot a variety of guns over the years. The EMEC is just so reliable. It's comfortable to shoot, very simple. It's inexpensive. They retail for less than $300. They're autococker threaded, so any barrel you have laying around is probably going to fit. I remember shooting, I'd say at least 20 cases before I even knew how to take the bolt out. I'm not the best when it comes to maintaining my equipment, but I shot, I'd say, at least 20 cases through it, because I shot 12 cases in one day at a scenario game, plus a bunch of other days. So it's just a really nice gun. I still use it pretty much every week when I play. If I had to use my favorite electronic marker, I'd probably say my MacDev Prime for sentimental reasons, just because I did play for a year and a half on Seattle Uprising. MacDev makes great gear, and I would definitely recommend, if you've never shot a MacDev Prime, to try one out. What about you, Joel? If you had to pick one paintball gun?
This is going to sound crazy, but I had an all-silver Dye DM7, and that's the first gun for some reason that comes to mind. I think that I'm really going to fall in love with the Lux TM40, so we'll see if my answer stays the same. But as far as my all-time favorite gun, I had that silver DM7, just was so smooth. I like the fact that I could tune in stuff. And before that, I had a blue to black fade Proto Matrix 5 that I put a UL frame on, and I worked at a paintball store back in Toledo called You Do Paint Games. And I worked for $5 an hour and was able to purchase that gun off of eBay, and the guy took forever to ship it, so I started to ship bricks as a 13-year-old. Yeah, but I would say that's, the old Dye guns, I really have a soft spot in my heart, because if you tune them right, they just shoot so good. So that's it for me. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is all the information that you need to know. Matt, thank you so much for being here, man.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content like this. And if you have any questions that we didn't cover, write in the comments below and we'll address them.
Thank you guys very much.